Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 411. Oh my goodness.
Woo!
This is your guide to the geek side, joined by Charlie Carden, myself, Todd Oxtra, and Joseph Moran from the PS Trophy Room.
What up? Hi. How's everybody doing today?
Now, point of order, isn't 411, wasn't that some terrible like punk pop band from the early aughts?
I
411.
think it's 311.
311. 411 is what you call if you need information. So what's the 411?
Okay. So you said so call like on a telephone. It's not Google.
Nope.
Do people still do that? Do our parents?
It's like
still
if you
do
want to
that?
know where to dig it in your yard so you don't
Oh
build
no,
like
that's
a cable line or something.
this dig. I thought that was 811. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it is. Oh well. We're going on, but yeah, we're back with the Secret Friends tonight. Our good buddy Joe is back with us after Joe. It's been some time. It's been
a lot of episodes.
A lot of possibly even a year. It's
Probably
been a minute.
potentially.
Well, we're excited to have you on because the big part of the show in the Thunderdome will be all about the Last of Us TV show dropping. And the cool part about this is Charlie's a newbie to The Last of Us, hasn't played the games really. He's watched a little bit of it. I played the games, you played the games, and I think this is going to be fun to come from a viewpoint of, is it a great video game adaptation or is it just a great show? So
I don't want to spoil my answer, but anyway.
Yeah, so we'll get into that at the end of the show. But before we do that, we had a big announcement actually Friday. I had to hold Charlie back because he wanted to say, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? Like, are we there yet, Dad? Are we there yet, Ned? We finally launched our Patreon. 8 years in the making, folks.
Can't fight the future. So I had told some friends about it the night before, but I'm like, get ready.
Oh my
Get ready.
goodness. Yes.
And we were ready. So it was fun.
Yeah, it's really like the impetuous child who you have to temper his expectations. You have to keep him on the side saying, we're not ready yet.
Like living, and you just jump. Woo! And we did. And we even got some people who were on board. But Todd, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, so our patrons live, go to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite and just check it out. The good news is, all the podcasts you've been getting for free will stay that way. Nothing changes. The only thing that you get as being a Patreon is you get to support us, which is fantastic. We love it. And you get some new content and some special benefits. And one of those special benefits that one of our first subscriber has done, and that's Mr. Sean Nias and his family, Stella, his daughter, and Henry. They're all in this together. And, being Patreon at this level gets you your own superpower. So we get to assign Sean, Henry, and Stella their superpower. So since there's 3 of us, it's perfect. So Joe, since you're a guest, who would you like to assign a superpower to?
Stella. Let's do Stella.
Do it.
So this is a family affair. I was thinking about The Incredibles.
Ooh.
I'm like, it's usually like, the daughters with the invisibility, and the son is, he's always quick, right? He's nimble.
Yeah. Was it Flash or what
Dash.
was his name?
Dash.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But then it's me, and my head's a dark place, So I'm going Stella, the power, and I think it's ultimate. I think this is the ultimate superpower.
Oh.
All right. No repercussions.
Oh.
She has the power of doing
Non-stop
anything.
Get out of jail free card.
Anything she wants, and there's no repercussions.
This is the
ultimate character test.
Right.
She can use this power for good, or she can be the ultimate evil in the universe.
Ooh.
No matter what.
Wow.
She's unstoppable.
So does she have to actually come up with an excuse, or is it just nope?
Nope, nothing.
Nothing.
And people know, and people they may not like her for it,
Right.
They can't do anything.
So it's just all over. It's just, it's like
pure chaos.
Doctor Strange
this is George Santos.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. Exactly. All the property and the talking about his religion and all the made up stuff that just yeah, exactly. It's amazing. So
repercussions for Stella
like
ever.
Doctor Strange and the spell that made everybody forget Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So just erased everything. Wow, that's wow.
But they know, everybody knows, and everybody has their own. So like Stella could steal, and people knows like Stella stole, but they can't. They don't have the ability to punish her for it. Like
it's immunity.
Yeah,
immunity from all laws across all countries.
So it's like Lethal Weapon 4, but times infinity.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
You can't really top that. All right. Well, I'm going to use mine, and this one's risky because I'm going to go with Henry.
Okay.
And it's risky because Todd pointed out that this may not be a sanitary superpower, but I've got a fix for that. See, so Henry, what you got to do is first you wash your hands for 2 full minutes. You can sing happy birthday twice, happy birthday to you. And after that, you hold out your fingers and you're going to shoot spaghetti out of them. Because at the end of it, first of all, you confused your enemy. They don't know what's going on. And when it's all said and done, you got lunch.
Now, okay, think about the spaghetti fingers. How projectile is it? Can you shoot a string of it like Spider-Man, or does it like I'm
going to say like silly string, if you remember, if anybody remembers what that is.
Okay, so he has to be close.
So it's projectile, but it's not like it's a bullet or an arrow. It's like
no spaghetti deaths will be incurred.
Right, and it's and it's what is it with pasta? Was that al dente? It's al dente, so it's a little, yeah. There you go.
So he can't control the type of pasta or the spaghetti that comes. Like he can't shoot like the unboiled. So it's long projectiles.
It's not like with Spider-Man where he could change the type of webbing. So it's one size fits all. No sauce. You got to bring your own sauce.
Oh, I was going to say
it's uncooked.
At someone, and they're going to be like, "What is that marinade? What?"
There's no butter. You don't have any of the Parmesan cheese. Okay. You got to provide all that. But
no
still,
Alfredo, no marinara, no famous Jersey sauce.
You got to make sure gravy. That the red sauce, gravy, like a Skyline chili.
It's sauce. It's sauce. Yeah.
It's just sauce. But yeah, there you go. So now you have an unlimited, and much like with Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it does come out of your body. So, if you do it nonstop, you'll get sleepy and you have to take a nap. So you just be aware.
I like the universe where Henry looks at his sister. He's like, Stella gets the kill a guy, and I get spaghetti out of my fingers,
and then he'll turn around, and out of vengeance, like I didn't wash my hands.
Exactly.
So Henry, look into a sponsorship with Olive Garden.
Yep.
Yes, we'll see how that goes.
Yes,
maybe exactly. The last one laughing.
There you go.
Okay, well, I'll pick Sean. So I'll pick Sean. So Sean gets to always be his special power is he always gets to pick first in his fantasy draft.
Oh,
he is a big fantasy football fan. Oh, wow. He even does some of the other fantasy leagues, but that is going to be his superpower, but also a curse because picking first does not guarantee anything, and it makes you look like a fool because you're the guy that didn't pick the pick. Joe, you know this, Fantasy Critic League, all these things. I do fantasy football, and I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, because if I picked the number one, what everybody says the consensus, that's the year the guy breaks his leg, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just screwed. So that's why I'm giving Sean. He's going to love it.
Todd, don't you remember we used to do that fantasy movie league? We got to get back into that. That was awesome. You get like 8 screens, and you got to pick current releases or whatever, and each one of them costs so much, and you've got to leverage how much you can spend, and then multiple screens of something. If that overperforms, then that's how you. Yeah. I would totally. I don't know if that went away.
It might be a Patreon league. That might be something we do with patrons. Maybe something fun game. Yeah.
I like that. I would get back into fantasy movie league because my wife and I go to the movies all the time. We're going to see Missing this evening. So yeah. So I think that would be awesome.
Well, very good. So hopefully if you're happy with your superpowers, if you're not, sorry, no refunds on those. But by all means, go ahead and use them for good.
Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of using things for good, we have a superhero comic this week. And Todd, I tell you, Todd, you're on a streak, and I'm about ready to abdicate my right to choose a cover because I just can't really do better than what you do. So this week we have Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, Volume 1. It's Here Comes, now on sale monthly. Daredevil, the man without fear. That's very Stan Lee. December of 1965. I love this. This is a great. Todd, this makes me think of you because you're the organizer. The organizer returns with Ape Man, Bird Man, Cat Man, and Frogman. We usually don't include the whole bit here, but this is pretty great. In a time to unmask! Exclamation point. Script by Stan Lee, shocker. Pencils by Bob Powell, never heard of him. Wally Wood did the inks, nope. The case of the organizer and the Reform Party is wrapped up.
Reform Party? What is this?
Yeah. I know. It sounds like he's fighting in the Civil War.
I want the Reform Party to come back in 2024 and run.
That's right.
My God! Who would they run? Would they run Matt Murdock, the ghost of Stan Lee? Anyway, it's wrapped up, and all mysteries are solved. Matt takes a leave of absence from the law firm to do what? He's going to walk the country like kung fu, solve mysteries. I don't know. I need to know. But it says the cover is him with obviously Birdman up over his head, as you can see on the YouTube video, with the ape man attacking him. They said it in the green, but they said it couldn't be done. And we almost didn't do it. Okay.
Why?
And in this issue, the organizer's identity revealed. Who is the organizer? Who cares?
It's Bernie.
Oh my God. It's Bernie. Oh, it is Bernie. It could be because it was 1965. So he was already 52 years old back then. I don't know.
That's right.
Possibly.
He's complaining about something.
Yeah,
That's
he's
who's going to run the Reform Party. Is Bernie.
My soup is cold. Send it back. Oh man, yeah, what a classic. So yeah, again, nice work, Todd. I like it.
Yeah, I have, Joe. I mean, if anything, if you have one thing to take away from this cover, what would it be?
I want Bernie on the cover.
Yeah,
I want to take away
you want to know if that's who's there when they pull the hood off like a Scooby-Doo mystery, like it's Bernie.
I want him like the meme of him sitting at the inauguration with his little mittens on. That's what I want.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Funko Pop. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going.
Oh my God!
With this accessory of his mask with off the mask. There you go.
Well, the one Funko Pop I'm really looking forward to, and Todd, this was at Target about a year ago, and I'd send you a picture and be like, no, we got to keep waiting until it goes on clearance. Is our gal pal Madam Webb? That's right, our 123-year-old senior news correspondent down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine with all the latest scoops. Let's get down there and figure out what's going on.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, now that we've announced our Patreon, apparently you decided to launch your Patreon, but unfortunately you picked the wrong site. You went to Patron.com. So apparently she's trying to sell knockoff tequila now. And, that's a hard market to get into. I think George, our good buddy George, what's his name?
Costanza? George Santos. Didn't he?
The actor with the
George Clooney.
George Clooney. Yeah, I don't know if George Clooney would be.
Is it big forehead?
Well, no, he used to have like the Caesar cut or whatever.
Oh, so, right, in the 90s, right?
Yeah. I don't think he appreciates any more competition. He's got to support his Italian villa, so you might be out of business pretty soon.
I think yes, it would employ some goons to rough her up a bit. All right, so what we got up first? Oh my goodness! And I said this, in the roll in between when Mark and Kay and myself were recording Holocron last Monday. It was around this trailer coming out, and it didn't finally hit the internet until after 10 p.m. And everybody knows I turned into a pumpkin by then, and we were done recording the show. But Mandalorian Season 3 trailer dropped during the wild card game, and we complained about why we thought that really wasn't a thing, but whatever. We're glad that it's out.
The wild card? Why the wild card game isn't a thing?
No, why dropping a trailer during a football game is supposed to be like, ooh.
Because it gets people who don't watch football to watch the game.
Watch the internet. Yes. Internet. I got a word for you. It's the internet. But at any rate, here's a question. Now, there was a Mando trailer that came out back in summertime at Celebration in Anaheim. Is this the same trailer? Do we really wait 6 months to see the same trailer? Or is this something different?
No, it's got far more stuff in it. Like you didn't see the Jedi, that flashback to the Jedi.
Yeah.
I think we did see a collection of Mandalorians, but I don't think we got
You
much more of the
definitely
background on it.
had some of the, like, you had all of them doing like the airborne drop that was in that drink. Because I saw, of course, here's the fuzzy version from Anaheim that somebody recorded on their phone, and somebody from Disney didn't covertly have them killed afterwards. So I've seen like bits and pieces of it, but yeah, now that you mention it, there's definitely a little bit more to it. But woohoo, baby. Yeah, I mean, Todd, we've talked about the fact that we feel like The Mandalorian is the salvation of Star Wars. It's the best thing that we've seen. I certainly think it's the best thing that we've seen since the OT. It's not a perfect show. They've had duffer episodes. The fact that Mandalorian had to come along and resuscitate the Boba Fett TV show, we don't need to talk about that because you want to hear more about that, go over to Holocron. But this was awesome. Yeah, I'm fired up about this, and I said my only regret is that this drops on March 1 when April and I will be at sea because we'll be on the Star Trek cruise. So unfortunately, we all know there's no internet in international water, so I guess I'm going to miss it.
How dare they? Yeah.
I hate
it's
it.
not allowed. Yeah. So, Joe, I am a big fan of The Mandalorian. I think it's the best balance of like the fun and goofiness of Star Wars, but also a better production, some good acting, some really good direction, and then not having to have everything tie into an overall arc, but having good standalone episodes. I really enjoyed Andor, as I talked about the second half of Andor. The first half of Andor was, to me, was a snooze fest. It lacked a lot, but I thought the second half was fantastic. So these are kind of my right now with me, Mandalorian is probably my favorite Star Wars, but where do you stand with The Mandalorian? Is it like top tier, bottom tier, mid tier?
Oh, Mandalorian's what I've always wanted in Star Wars. If I could make my own Star Wars thing, it would have been The Mandalorian. So, I love Mando, and it is the best Star Wars since the OT. It's so good. And yeah, like slow episodes for sure, but the prequels exist as well. So like, I'll take my wins and losses where I get them. But overall, like Mando does a great job of giving y'all the fan service that you want, and at the same exact time, expanding the universe where it needs it. And I think what we're going to see from the Mando and the Ahsoka show is planting seeds where the sequel trilogy will make sense. Or more sense, just like how the shows made the prequels more palatable. So for me, I loved this trailer. I love exploring the Mando universe and the Mandalorians and seeing them in live action. So seeing all of them, like seeing them getting dropped off, like just hot dropped
like the school bus. All right, I'll be back. I'll be back at 3:00.
Yeah, it's like 100 Mandos land in Mandalore, and only one could be the Mandalorian. Yeah, it is a battle royale waiting to be played. But that had me so hyped. So to me, I love this, and yeah, the way it harkens again back to Order 66, just like how we saw in Obi-Wan. What I loved. So they're really. There's really going to be a lot here. I think we're going to see way more Grogu's origin stories because of things like Order 1886.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Order 1886. I love that game. Joe, is you're saying is there going to be a sequel?
You're a fan of Tyler Sheridan's work, 1886.
Yeah, awesome. And the Yellow Papers.
Love it.
Real fan.
Oh, don't get Todd started. He hates the Yellow Papers. Hates the Yellow Papers. Hates them.
Yeah, no, I love what they're doing, and to me, everybody likes to complain because I don't mind where Disney has taken Star Wars. In fact, I think they've had way more hits than we give them credit for. And you're right, like Andor is amazing, and I knew after like episode 3, this is not going to be for everyone, but it is probably the best written like Star Wars property. It's incredible because it's more than a galaxy far, far away. We can really feel a lot of the emotions that Andor hits. So like, Star Wars is in a good place right now, and I think Mandalorian.
Mandor.
I'm just screwing up all the words.
That's like what do you call shipping?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh, they would be a terrible couple. Terrible
Oh,
couple.
awful. But no, I really love what this series has done to help revitalize what I think the sequel trilogy really hurt that brand. So
Right.
to me,
right.
Star Wars is in a great place right now. It's thanks to the Mandalorian, and
Mhm.
season 3 just looks stellar.
Can't wait.
We're going to be blowing it up. Yeah. So, and obviously I'm sure we will talk about that show here, but certainly you'll get the deepest of the digging of the dives over in Holocron Chronicles, which drops on the alternating Wednesday here on this lovely network. All right, Todd, what else we got?
Yeah, so we couldn't recall if we talked about this one, but I think the story came out and we just never did because we're like, this is just too silly.
I think it was like a post share, and we like on Discord we went back and
Exactly.
forth, but that was about it. Yeah.
But Donald Glover is apparently going to star and produce in a a Spider-Man movie based on a villain, the Hypno Hustler.
Oh my! You see, and I know this one because again, this was old. It was Spider-Man's the third spinoff, but second spinoff in name, because in the 70s we got Marvel Team Up, which was him plus another character, which ran for about 10 years. And then in 1976, the same year that I came out, meaning I was born, he got his second in name title, but it was super long. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. So really long, which eventually was cut down to the Spectacular Spider-Man in the 80s. But this is from issue 24 in 1978. And yes, super duper capitalizing on the disco music phenomenon of the time, created by Bill Mantlo, who also created Rocket Raccoon. Okay, so that's kind of a top and bottom of his career. But yes, his name was Antoine Del Soin.
Sure, go ahead, go with it.
That works. The leader of a band called the Mercy Killers, and used hypnosis technology in his instruments in an audience to rob them. Now, I would have to believe that this would be updated more for a modern audience. That Anton here is actually, he's a DJ. He does electronic music or something, and just whacks people off. So he's a villain. It's funny. Hypno Hustle not considered one of Spider-Man's top villain. I don't think that there's a chance that even the deepest diggers of him could even find him. But yeah, as it says here, obviously this is not the first time we've seen Glover in Spider-Man. He was clamored to play Spider-Man in reversal to Andrew Garfield, which happened in 2012. But then we got him as the voice of Miles Morales in the Ultimate Spider-Man.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, me neither. And then he had a great role in Tom Holland's first movie, The Spider-Man Homecoming, where he was the hood who was trying to buy guns, and he was kind of a smart ass like gun buyer. And then Spidey, and then he kind of shook Spidey down after Spidey was trying to shake him down, and kind of saying, "You sound like a girl." I do not sound like a girl. But they made it sound like they heavily inferred that he was playing the uncle of Miles Morales, or some dialogue was somewhat suggestive to that fact. So, Todd, could this be the thing that saves the Spumco from, besides Madam Webb, which our girl who's going to get her own movie, we've been talking about that, but could this be played for what it is and be fun, or could it be another Venom or a Morbius?
I'm hoping this is more like they find treasure where there's just trash. Like we have the Spider-Verse films, which are fantastic. Well, we've seen one, so it's fantastic. And that's Sony doing its own thing, doing weird, not following Marvel's path, and just doing something really unique and creative. Donald Glover's not going to get involved in a project just to make money. He's a very creative dude.
He's an artist.
His rap career with Atlanta. I just don't think he's going to sign up with something unless he sees something that could be really cool, and he's completely involved in the process. Apparently, Eddie Murphy's son, Miles Murphy, is going to be writing this. I didn't.
What? I didn't know. Of course,
it's in the notes.
I know. No, I know that. And of course, you can imagine Eddie Murphy has 40 children because he's Eddie Murphy. But I didn't know any of them were in the business.
Yeah. So, if anything, this could be the bright star of the Spumco, and Joe, just we call it the Spumco. It's Spider-Man universe of Sony characters or something, so we call it Spumco.
It's the worst.
And I know,
just
well, and
the
that is the
worst.
name of it. But if you can't give something like a really shitty anagram or a really cruddy anagram, excuse me, then where's the value in it? So yeah, it's got to sound
exactly. Yeah, because we're getting the movies that are still going to come out. We're going to get Venom 3. We are getting Madam Web. Apparently, that's done. We're getting a Craven film. I haven't heard anything about Morbius to the Morbiing. So it's Morbin time. Apparently,
electric Morbiloo.
Yeah, so we haven't seen that. So Joe, based on all we've talked about, you're a Spider-Man fan. Would this be something that'd be like, yeah, go crazy because it might work?
No, this is gonna be bad. None of this sounds good.
Okay,
just stop thinking that. Like, I forget who's in charge of the Sony Spider-Man universe.
Oh,
I don't. You see that?
Was her? What's her name? It was a woman, I think.
I forget.
I forget it wasn't Sherry Lansing.
It was
it?
Amy.
Yeah, Amy. Yeah, and Amy Pascal.
I think that's who it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, she needs to go. None of this is working.
You gotta go.
None of this is good. None of it. Venom was trash.
Oh God,
Venom 2 was awful, dreadful.
Please. Jesus,
Morbius.
Yes.
My friend is trying to convince me just to watch it to see how bad it is. None of these Sony Spider-Man spin-off movies have been close to decent, and I will see it. I will believe it when I see it. There's
right.
No,
but we will still see it. That's just the thing. Yeah, the Weekly Planet.
I did not see.
Joe's still standing. On his, yes.
No,
I was going to say the Weekly Planet
see,
guys. Just
Venom in theaters. I refuse to. I pirated Venom 2 because my friend made me watch it. So she's just like, here it is.
Joe, the cops are on their way.
I don't care.
You start bleeping.
Yeah, whatever.
No Hustler is on his way.
I mean,
you're right. He knows.
My friend pirated it.
He's right behind you.
Yeah, no, awful, dreadful movies, and Amy and Sony should be ashamed of themselves. Just hand it over to Marvel.
Be ashamed.
Just do
yeah,
it.
I'm halfway between the two of you. I really, I don't.
It triggers me. You don't get it. It angers me every time I hear keep on making more of these.
I know. I just, and I'm a diehard Spidey fan as yourself, going back almost 40 years now. So I got you. Fam. I do. But I too believe that Donald Glover is an artist. I don't think he's done anything that's really terrible. That being said, there was the Star Wars prequels written by George Lucas with a lot of great actors in them that couldn't save it, in my opinion. Yeah. So I would hardly say that I don't know. I'd like to believe what Todd says. I unfortunately feel that what you're saying, Joe, seems like the safe bet, but we'll only know when it comes out. And of course, because Todd and I don't have a choice, we'll see it.
Listen, I'm positive. This will be
positive.
this will be garbage.
They talked Tom Hardy into doing Venom, so yeah, maybe I'm completely wrong.
Right,
Dakota Johnson's in
Madam Web.
Madam Web, we definitely were going to throw our support behind because she's on the team, but still.
Yeah, I mean Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney are in it. I understand the allure, but.
Right.
I don't know if Madam Web had casted. I think she had casting approval, but she was going to pick like B. Arthur. But I had to tell her B. Arthur's dead.
She said, "So's Tupac. They got him on stage." I don't know.
Not a B. Arthur hologram. No, we're not doing that.
Oh my God! All right, let's move on. Steven Spielberg, who did not receive the financial windfall from the Meet the Fablemans that I wanted him to, is going to be producing a documentary about John Williams, probably, and I'll lump him out of the bucket with the Beatles, who I think are the greatest popular music artists of the 20th century. But I would say John Williams is the greatest overall, certainly instrumental, orchestral, whatever it is, artist of our lifetimes and before. So, where do you even, what can you even say about what this man has done? The iconic soundtracks from Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jaws, E.T., Schindler's List. Help me out here. What else has he done? What are his biggest?
I mean,
Superman.
Oh God, yes, of course. Yeah, but
Saving Private Ryan. I mean,
I mean, and the guy won't retire. He's coming back for Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, which we'll see this summer. Now we're in 2023. Yeah, like you said, Private Ryan, and it's just Jurassic Park. Yeah, I said Jaws.
Oh, you did. Okay.
I know. Todd and I are great at listening to each other. It's such a voyage, but this is amazing. And I would assume, documentaries, do they take a super long time to make? So maybe we could see this year, or doesn't it say?
They're fairly quick because typically it's a lot of
footage and interviews,
montages, interviews, and I mean, there's going to be nobody who doesn't want to step up to talk about his relevance, from directors, actors, across the board. And I don't know where this would appear on because obviously it's not just Disney, it's Amblin it would be producing this. So they're not tied to a network. So it could go to Disney Plus, but it could go to Paramount Plus or something like that. Yeah.
Probably wherever it lands, you'll be able to find it. You know what I mean? And this is a feature-length documentary, but I would imagine this would not be a theatrical release. Doesn't really make much sense. This kind of stuff ends up on streamers. So yeah, my bet is potentially Disney Plus. I don't know. That's just my vibe, but we'll see.
Yeah. So favorite of his work. What is everybody's favorite?
Well, I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite film, so I probably have to go with that. But then again, how do you argue with the main titles of Star Wars, which has played somewhere in the head of every Gen Xer in some way, shape, or form since 1977? Gen X, or meaning Todd and I's generation, and Joe, I know you're younger, but it falls back to you guys because of the prequels.
I don't know what any of those generations are, but
we're all just people, man. Don't separate us.
Exactly. If you're Gen X, I'm Gen Z now. Who knows what's going on?
Right.
It's Star Wars. Star Wars, no question.
Yeah, it's
the most
tough.
iconic. Yeah.
And people say about Jaws, and I guess I'm unpopular.
That's why I was going to go to Jaws, because without that song, it's so tied to that feeling of the shark coming at. I think no. I think that's the one song you take out. It's not. It's not the movie. Star Wars is still Star Wars. It has so many other iconic songs in just one specific theme.
He's making them all, right?
Correct.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So how do you?
If you take out the Jaws song and you put what, yakety sax?
Yeah.
Yeah, put some Benny Hill music.
Firefighters chasing the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
The aluminum Falcon.
But I'll go with Jaws, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. I mean, is it specifically the Star Wars theme? I mean,
or is it the Raiders March, or is it Star Wars, those crazy Star Wars?
There you go.
Notice he never wrote any lyrics.
No, that Bill Murray in SNL with Nick the Lounge Singer? He was the one who did that. Raiders of the Lost Ark is, again, because that's I saw the movie when I was 5 years old, and that Raiders March. I mean, it's probably a dead tie because, again, I saw Raiders when I was 5. I saw Empire Strikes Back when I was 4, and so I barely remember actually seeing it. But that music resonates. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
anyway, so this would be great. I'll be excited when this comes along. So that's fun and exciting news. The next story, Todd, not so much.
Yeah. If you are not listening to the news lately, there are layoffs from every large company happening right now. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, anybody I'm missing? I mean,
Twitter, of course, but that's
really something else.
Yes, exactly. It's not really driven by the economy so much.
Yeah. Amazon is, I believe they're letting 18,000 people go. And one of the big impacts that will impact a lot of folks who like geek media is Comixology. Comixology was its own independent service. Amazon bought them. They were still separate, and then they integrated them into their basically their app and everything else. It's not worked out really great because it's basically took something that worked really well and kind of did not blend well with Amazon services.
Yeah. And I certainly use it a whole lot less than I used to. But when I tune in, I'm like, just kind of moving around the app just when I'm reading comics and stuff.
Yeah, but Comixology is the best comic service in regards to breadth and depth and everything. Yeah, plus the unlimited service, I think, is fantastic for $6 a month. You get everything under the sun, not just Marvel or DC. So the bad news is it sounds like they have well, actually, Amazon's planning 20,000 people to let go. But Comixology was hit specifically hard. We're hearing about one of the directors, Scott McGovern, Jason Del Rey, announced what was going on. And this is going to be bad because you can't do more with less. We know that.
Yeah.
So something
Right.
will suffer. People have lost their jobs, and that type of talent and abilities just don't fall out of trees.
Right.
And a lot of these people have probably been with Comixology from the beginning. And you always worry, like when a company you work for gets bought, you're like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Because
Right.
they just
Right.
don't do this for shits and giggles. They do it because they want to make money, and you typically look for redundancies and cut them. But I don't know. This is going to be not great. I don't know what this means for consumers, but for right now, these people that lost their jobs, and I don't know if there's an equivalent place to go where they can get hired very quickly. The comic book world isn't huge. I mean, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom. There's just a limited number of places to go if you want to be in the comic book world. So I feel bad for all these folks that are impacted.
Right. It angers me deeply because a lot of it's just like, it's one thing if all these companies were projecting these huge losses, but none of them are.
Right. Yeah. They'd
so
just be like,
Microsoft's a $2 trillion company. They're doing fine. Amazon doing fine.
Right.
Google doing fine. We're coming to the realization that tech needs to unionize, just needs to. Your jobs aren't protected. They can lay you off at any moment for any reason, for whatever. So tech needs to unionize. Secondly, it's the realization of, oh wow, we have only 4 companies running everything here. That is, it's a scary thought. I saw a lot of developers on the game side of, wow, are we just coming to the point where one company just runs everything, just like in the movie industry? And how well does that look right now?
The big evil corporation. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. So it's just like we're coming to the point where it's like, when we're rooting for consolidation and the promise of, but more of these things will pop up. It's like I kind of doubt it. Because what ends up happening is like Microsoft sees this big thing that's or a thing that's growing, and they'll be like, okay, we're just gonna spend more money than God to acquire it, to merge it into our company and then make it less good.
Right.
Less
good.
I
don't like it.
I don't like it. So it angers me deeply. From what I hear on the inside, it's a lot of these quote unquote redundancies. It was so mechanical in nature. Like, for example, Google folks walked into the NYC offices, and like they had like a card. If it glowed green, you're safe, and if it glowed red or something, you're fired. Like, really?
Oh my God, that's exactly the same as The Last of Us, which we're going to talk about. It's the same thing. Green is good, red is dead.
It's Orwellian. It's insidious. So now, like, I don't know. None of this feels great. And it just feels like, we keep on saying a recession is going to happen. We keep on saying it, and we're making it happen.
We're willing it into existence because companies are they're calling it proactive in regards to they're making decisions before they actually have to. And yes, we know the pandemic changed a lot of behaviors. And if companies assume that was going to last forever, then they are the ones to blame for making poor planning,
poor management,
impacting people. And then typically
they don't have Todd Oxford to help them plan. They're foolish.
And then restructuring elements, people, like I'm hearing people got locked out of their computers, so they couldn't even figure out what is my severance package, where are these things, and that scares the hell out of people. That's like, I don't know what to do next. And
I know.
So I just know that essentially this could also mean that they'll remove content, which is not the biggest thing in the world right now, but you saw that with WB, where they have removed things from existence. You can't even get those things anymore. And the creators are like saying, thanks for telling us that my show no longer exists and can't be accessed. So I can't even pitch it to people and say, look at my show, please hire me to make a new one.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. So we'll see. Yeah, it sucks, but we will see what happens. We will obviously continue to bring you the latest. So speaking of the latest floaty weirdness going out about 5 years, Todd, what's going on with Disney? and they're untitled movies.
Yeah, so the fun part is Disney kind of gives a heads up to say, this is what's on our slate currently that has dates. And the further you get out, the weirder their schedule gets. So this is kind of fun. In 2023, so essentially Disney has got their schedule set through November. But
and then December
1st of 2023, which is like 10, 11 months away,
right?
It says Untitled Disney.
Very helpful.
Which I think is hilarious because I'm like, well, it's got a title. And why haven't you told anybody? Is this going to be something announced at D23, which seems weird because, I mean, or is this like a Super Bowl announcement?
So months to promote a movie. Yeah,
it's very weird. So that's fine and all, but then you start to look at, okay, let's go to 2024. There are and it's funny, the first one for 2024 is February 14th, Valentine's Day. That's kind of weird too.
So again, 13 months.
Yeah, and then you get another one in August. It's Untitled Disney. Then you get November 8th, Untitled Disney Deadpool movie. So we know it's a Deadpool at least. And then 11/27, Untitled Disney Animation. So they're getting more descriptive on their Untitled.
Right.
There. And then we get to 2025. So we get March,
oh my God,
April, May, June, July, July, August.
We have two movies with titles, and the rest are the rest of it is somewhat descriptive. Disney, most Disney, some Pixar, some Marvel. The last one is Star Wars, 12/19 to 25.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So the soonest we will be getting a Star Wars film, and I kind of thought this would happen, especially if they want to take the December window.
Right.
Is going to be 2025 because guess what? Avatar is going to own December for as long as Avatar movies come out every other year. So that may mean that we only get one Star Wars movie every 2 years, which might be a good cadence.
Like the old days. 2-3 years. Yeah.
But based on the schedule, we see it. I don't know. Do you guys like to know more what's coming further out, or do you like to be surprised?
Maybe because again, I think, again, looking at 2024, okay, well, a lot of that's hashed out or whatever it is. But when it comes to the animation stuff, it's not really a big deal for me. The Pixar stuff, I don't have kids. It's not, and I'm not a huge fan. It's not a big deal for me. But knowing that there's something on the slate for Star Wars, I don't give a shit what they call it. I don't even really need to know what it's about. Ooh, I don't really care what it's about. Go back and beat me, Joey. I don't really care, what it's called or what it's about. I'm just really happy if they're going to do a date that they're going to stick to.
Charlie, you don't run a Geek podcast, do you? Well, of course we care what it's called. That's why we're here.
Not 3 years away. I'm more concerned. I should say it this way. I'm more
Charlie,
concerned.
You are so FOMO. You have to be peered and you want to get all those details. So I think that's a lie. You're lying, sir.
But if they haven't even written a script, how could they give us a title? You know what I mean?
Is that how it works? Just come up with the title and it just writes itself.
Oh, is it? That's how it's a 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typeyewriters. It was the best of times.
No, it's chat GPT AI scripting. It's
my gosh, that is spectacular.
Yeah.
So
Joe,
I'm certainly less concerned about 2024. 2025 is weird, but yeah, the rest that follows, it's like 2027, 2028 have two things.
2026. Yeah.
Last one is Avatar 5. Joe?
Oh, okay. You're kicking it over to me. No, I honestly just surprised me with a trailer. I'm coming of age, boys, as I grow older. You guys know this well.
You see, Todd, look at you trying to be all, it could be some, a sense of wonder, employing a sense of wonder. It's not a bad thing. But
to me, it's just like, okay, cool. So we're not going to get a, Star Wars movie for another 2 years. Fine. We always, we complain about like, oh, is this, Marvel fatigue or Star Wars fatigue? Enter anything that's popular. Is this fatigued? And when there's a big empty space, we get
fatigue.
Exactly. And I'm fatigued about the fatigue. Because it's just like people are like, is there really like, come on, more Marvel stuff? Like we beat Thanos. What else can we get?
Because we didn't have anything for 80 years. Why should we not have anything for the next 80?
Yeah, right. He was the only guy.
It's like, I get it. You're cool. You're hip. I understand. You know.
Right.
But like to me, it's just like, yeah, there's there's so many cool characters in the Marvelverse. Let's explore them. What's wrong? Well, so what if there's not a huge cosmic threat? Maybe there is one. Maybe there's a story to tell. I don't know. But, for me, it's like...
We'll find out when we get there.
Yeah. When 2025 comes, we'll be missing Star Wars on the big screen, and it's gonna be a big hit.
Yep.
And hey, hopefully they take a page out of HBO and The Last of Us and go, let's make this Knights of the Old Republic trilogy. Come
Thank
on.
you.
We've learned so many lessons.
Well, what's nice about that 2025 is that's a 6-year film gap, which is it's approaching what we had. We had a 10-year film gap between the end of the sequel trilogy and then, the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, so 05 to 15.
Yeah,
that was, or was it? Yeah,
no, 83 to 2000.
I said it was 10 years, so this is closer. The 6 years are closer to the 10 years instead of the 25 year or the 13.
Well, because we ended what in 90, which was the last year?
It was 83 to 99 was the first gap,
and then it was 99 to, or sorry, what was the last year?
It was
the OT
05 to 15. So you're looking at between a 13 year gap, 15 year gap.
Force Awakens, I thought was 2017.
Yeah, you're right.
That wasn't the last one. I was talking about the big gaps. Because you said
that was still 12 years. 2005 to 2017, 5 years.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
No. The Force Awakens was 2015, not 2017.
They bombed in 2014.
Yeah. No, 2015. Do your clickety clicking.
I'm
doing it now.
You guys
get
to
here we go. There you go. No, we're good. There's no arguing.
2015.
Right.
You win.
Oh, Todd actually admits he's wrong.
Oh, Force Awakens was such a great movie. They should do a trilogy about it.
Oh, they should. And you would almost think they did, but then, yeah. So anyway, okay. Well, we good? Ready to move on? Because I think
so.
It's time to get out that phone. We need the feeble Uber app so Madam Webb can make a couple of nickels. Time to get down to Scugtown, Nastyville. The Geek Easy awaits to talk about what we're enjoying. So.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So this is where we talk about all the things we love in the world of geek that we're watching, reading, or doing that kind of stuff. So, Joe, anything that you want to talk about?
I have been doing nothing but consuming things about the Last of Us HBO show. And we're going to be talking about the HBO show here in a minute. But I got to shout out the HBO Companion podcast that is hosted by the voice of Joel Miller.
Neat.
Why am I forgetting Troy Baker's name? There you go. And he's interviewing Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann about how the show happened and their inspirations, why they wanted it to happen. And you guys need to listen to that companion podcast if you're interested in the show.
I will. Well, hold on. I'll even just look it up while we're talking. What is it?
I think it's just on HBO Max on YouTube.
Oh, okay. It's not like a podcast. Okay,
it's probably a podcast. That's just where I listen to it. But,
all right.
Is it like the Game of Thrones at the end of the episode where it's kind of like that?
No,
it's not like an after show. No, not like the writing room on Star Trek.
It's not like the after show of like the Talking Dead. Remember
that?
No,
which is so insufferable. We watched it for years and I just couldn't take it anymore.
No, I couldn't. It's not like it's just straight up like Troy is talking to both of them. They got like 5 questions that they're answering.
Okay.
But you got to listen to it because Craig Mazin, he in the first 5 minutes understood the assignment.
Okay.
When he talks about what The Last of Us is, and he just goes, Last of Us is not about how like violence is bad. Because I've seen so much of that too. He's like, oh, Last of Us story's lazy because all it is about violence is bad, isn't it bad? It's like, no, that's not what it is about. He's like, The Last of Us is about love. It's about human emotion,
right?
And how love is not inherently good,
right?
And he's like, and when that was the hook for me to be interested in this story. So when he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, I was like, and this is how I know this show is gonna be spectacular
Nice.
going forward.
Yeah.
So
I like
watch
it.
that companion podcast. Watch Kyle and I break it down on YouTube.
Nice.
Because it is something that I'm excited to talk about.
There you go. You found something.
It made me think about that when you said that, Joe. And I think of what they do with the Game of Thrones. After every episode, they talk about the episode with the actors and different people. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that, but kind of maybe show like how it compares to the video game. Like after, say, here's some scenes and do something that could be kind of fun, but maybe that's not what they want to go after.
And they definitely explore a little bit of it. Like
Okay.
the fungal outbreak. Like Craig talks about what changes were there, what he thought could be explored in a space in a medium like this that couldn't be explored in the game.
Sure.
Right.
So yeah, again, really
That's
good stuff if you're hankering for Last of Us talk.
Hank for a hunk of it. Well, cool. Well, all right.
And I was going to say there is a excellent podcast that Christian Spicer does on the game that Naughty Dog hosts. So if you'd like to know more about the game with the cast and that as well, that's available as well.
Christian Spicer. Why do I know that name?
We had him on our podcast, Charlie.
That's why it sounds so familiar. It's amazing.
He's the host of DLC, and he
very good.
and he produced his own comic, and yeah.
We just, after 411 episodes, I say
Charlie doesn't remember any guests we ever had.
That's why we have a spreadsheet. I have to dial 411 to get that information. Anyway, moving on, as I'm known to say, I was unsurprisingly, because with the launch of our Patreon, which you'll be hearing actually at the end of this week for our Patreons, is my new show called The Facts of Geek Life, where myself and a guest break down a few episodes of a season of a classic genre show. I watched two shows that are new and non-genre this week that I really loved. We just finished off watching this morning because it was, Netflix does the, dropping 10 episodes at once. And Todd, you and I have talked a lot about like, well, that sucks because you watch 10 and then it's over. And I really don't like that. I agree with you. But, then April says, well, you don't have to watch all 10. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of people are really inherently, like, especially if you're watching an old show, if you're like really into it and that's your scene, you're going to binge it. And that's what we did with this. It was that 90s show, the long anticipated, meaning it was been long anticipated since it was announced like 9 or 10 months ago. Follow up to the awesome Fox sitcom from the late 1990s into the 2000s called That 70s Show, which is about a group of super typical teenagers in 1970s, Kenosha area, Wisconsin. And this is a direct continuation because the show was, of course, about this group of, stereotypical teenagers, because there was the pretty one, the boy, the pretty one, the girl, the bad boy. They were all, consumed certain substances that we won't talk about, which is paid homage in the new series.
Marijuana? Are you talking about that marijuana?
I'm not talking about it.
I'm talking about it, Charlie. I'm talking about that Mary Jane.
Oh my goodness, you sound like Dr. John.
or Louis Armstrong, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, I don't. Todd,
it's yours to choose.
Todd, have you watched one yet?
Charlie, I actually did not like that 70 shows after like the second or third season. To me, that show got so formulaic, and I'm like, that's not even entertaining anymore. So I fell off of it. I'm like, it's not even I don't think it's a sitcom that really stands up, and I don't think it's that great. So this show sounds horrible, and I'm going to spend way too much time about these bad new characters, and they have the cameos from the characters. They're only do it for a paycheck. I am totally disinterested in this show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I understand all that. That being said, we really enjoyed it because again, it was the 90s nostalgia, because it's set in the summer of 1995. So I was 19, April and I were both 19. We didn't know each other back then, but the references are funny. Blockbuster Video and, making mixtapes, and Red and Kitty, who are the parents, get their first computer and get on AOL. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was just fun.
So is this like fun? It's like the Goldbergs, where they say 1990 something. They never actually say the year.
No, it takes place in the summer of 1995. So
okay,
they
got a Packard Bell.
Yeah, I don't know if they're sitting down and they did all the research to make sure. Yeah, my first computer was Todd. I had it when we lived in the dorm. I don't know, but it was something like that. Yeah, it was what were some of the other big old brands of giant PCs?
Gateway was another one. Yeah. There was a lot of brands that just were like the cheap ones you never heard of before. It's like, probably. I got it for dirt cheap because I needed a computer, and they were like $1,800 at the time.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a say! I have no idea. Of course, I didn't. I was in college. My parents.
I'll have to dig up
helped me
a
pay for it,
Best Buy ad from like 1995 and see
Yeah, do it.
how bad
Yeah,
tech was.
I know bad stuff. But anyway, yeah, I found the sitcom fun, but not great. And then I thought this was really pretty awesome. So, but one sitcom, and Todd, you're going to chime in on this as well, that I absolutely loved when I was growing up. As I was talking to my mother on the phone this morning, and I was telling her that we had watched this, was, and I've talked about this on the show before, was Night Court, or aired from, I think, 1984 to 1992, probably, and had to do with, the Criminal Court Part 2 in Night Court in Manhattan. Yes, and it was a terrific cast of characters. Has a and rewatching it as April and I have been doing the original show because it's available on Amazon Prime on their Freevee sub channel. A lot of the jokes still hold up. There's some like Dan Fielding, who's one of the characters, finds out his best friend is a woman now, and then that was a terrible early episode of that show. But for the most part, a lot of it is definitely still funny. So anyway, there's a revival of the show. We've been talking about it for months on here, and it dropped on Tuesday with the first 2 episodes, the pilot episode, and then an episode 2. And it's funny, they managed to bring back all of the sets pretty faithfully. Everything, in there got a coat of paint, and it's funny. It feels like it's a difference between the way New York was portrayed in the 1980s, which is grimy and disgusting. And even the walls of the inside of the courtroom looked like they were smeared with dirt back in the day, that now it's a fresh coat of paint and but it was fun. So it's centered around the main character, who was played by the late Harry Anderson. Character was called Harry Stone. He had a daughter who's played by Melissa Rauch, who's also the EP of the show and the genesis of it coming back.
And she was on Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah, that was her claim to fame. Yeah, she was Bernadette on Big Bang Theory. But anyway, the premise of the show is she grew up in upstate New York. She is a judge. She's, in her 30s, early 40s, whatever it is, and moves to Manhattan to essentially take on her dad's old job, and needs to have a staff, and she needs a public defender, and the guy that she has quits. So she seeks out the no longer practicing, he's a hermit now, Dan Fielding, played by John Larroquette, who's a character from the original show. Todd, I loved it. I'm on board. I'm having fun. What about you?
So I didn't get to completely watch the first episode, which is just lame because it's like 22 minutes long. But I watched enough to so I'm like, okay, I get it. I get the premise. Totally good.
Yeah.
So I'm on board too, because I think it's pretty. Night Court had good writing. So I think this is where, and hopefully they're going to build on it, and it'll be really cool. Maybe they'll get some other characters to show up from the past, because really it's Bull and Roz, I think, are the last 2 that are live.
And the occasional.
This is the first I'm hearing about this show, by the way.
Night Court?
Because you don't listen to our show every week and hear us talk about.
You know what? Listen.
Joe tunes out when he hears about old men talking about old things.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because Joe
all
just.
right, grandpas, I get it.
Yeah. Joe just revealed his age to us, and
I don't remember the Nixon administration. Okay.
Joe would prefer we talk about Power Rangers and Nicktoons.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right. That's right.
I don't remember the Nixon. I don't remember when they stopped using streetcars, or there wasn't a milkman
anymore. I don't
anymore.
remember Spiro Agnew. I don't.
The Paris Peace Accords.
People use phones to talk with them. What is this?
What
nonsense?
is that?
Yeah.
You had to have a phone with a cord, and it was stuck to the wall. And anyway,
and you needed to call 1-800 call ATT, because you needed those 20 cents a minute for long distance.
Right, exactly. Or the phone cards, or you had to call a number to get movie times. I know, it's terrible.
So, but going back to this, yes, I think this is going to be a fun show, because I think they hit a lot of the good beats. But I will say, Charlie, it has the trashiest, and Joe, if anything, just watch the intro to the show. It is the trashiest, worst intro to a show. Like the original Night Court was just like the theme song with the background of the city. Yeah. This one essentially repeated it with a little bit of an updated tune, but then they show the actors on screen. It looks like a bad green screen. It's so dumb. I'm like, God, change that immediately. It's horrible.
Yeah, you're right. The original had, and it really captured what, and again, I never visited New York City in the 1980s, but it was always really portrayed as being super gross and disgusting. And they showed all night, like, here's the subway, and
Very
here's
cool.
here's a couple of cops standing on a corner, and a guy
with the jazzy saxophone. I mean, that's all you needed.
It was great. And yes, they've reinvigorated the theme song, which is cool, but still.
Which is fine. But don't put the actors on. It looks like a 70s TV show.
Yeah, they'll do the freeze like Charlie Carden.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know why they did that. It was just bad. They ruined something. So change that. Then the show, I'm back on board.
You never know. They change those things from time to time. So anyway, okay. Well, Todd, what is this thing that you watch? Tell us all about this.
My mom actually recommended a show. Let's talk about old people.
Oh, what? My mom does that too, and I just say no.
Well, I'd heard about this one, so I'm like, okay. It's called Pez Outlaw. This is a new documentary that just dropped on Netflix, and this was amazing. I was so blown away. Charlie, this is going to be close to your heart because it covers a couple things. First, it's about a guy from Michigan, DeWitt, Michigan. Okay.
Oh, Lansing area. Nice.
Yeah. So that's one thing because you love Michigan. You're the number one guy.
I'm the guy.
When Tim Allen dies, you'll take over as the voice of Michigan. And then the other thing this is about, it's about collecting toy shows and things like that. So this is all,
which is a circuit that I work because
exactly. This is like you, man. This is like you in 20 years. This will be your story. Hopefully not. But this is a really fun story about this guy who is essentially, he has some mental health issues, but beyond that, it's not really what it's about, but it does cover some of that. So it's really nice. But this guy who's in a family, he's a poor guy, but he tries to make do with his family, and he's bored in his job. So he decides, and he starts out collecting cereal boxes for some reason. And as he buys cereal boxes, kind of as part of his OCD, he ends up sending away for, and this is probably like the early 90s, starts sending away for all those like freebies, like General Mills does. Send in 5 box tops, you'll get like a cereal bowl. You'll get these collectibles.
Those are
exactly.
Right.
So this guy like obsesses about it, and he starts ordering these things. And he would get a billion things, and then he ended up selling them at toy shows. And it's funny because apparently before he came on the scene, there was no limit to how many you could do. And because he was so ravenous about this, they actually changed the rule to 1 per household.
Wow. Surefire way to get in the history books. Now, this is a doco or this is like
it's a documentary? It's 86 minutes long. 86 minutes long.
Wow.
He actually stars in some of the like reenactments because they do some reenactments of what happened.
Okay.
Yes, because it's basically looking back at the 90s, but it's being told by the people from today. But it's really cool because he like basically, and I'm not going to give away too much more, but just to get into why it's Pez, is he essentially his cereal trinket game ends and he's like, well, I got to do something. And then he ends up finding this person selling odd Pez dispensers, like Pez dispensers you can't find anyway. And so he finds out from this person that there is a way to find Pez dispensers you can't find in the US. And it essentially takes him to Europe. And I don't want to leave it to any more there, but the way he's called the Pez dispenser is amazing because essentially this little guy gets on the radar of the Pez company. You find out about Pez being run in the US and internationally and all of these things. But overall, it's a really fun story. 86 minutes long. You have to find out about it. It's very honest storytelling. But it's really just learning about this guy and some of the mental health challenges he had, how he dealt with it, and also you get these great interviews with other collectors and one guy from I think he's from Germany. He's hilarious because he's just brutally honest and a mean European. It's great.
I put it in my phone as we were talking.
It's great. So it's heart touching. It's a fun story, and it's got a really good way of doing it. And it's like I said, it's short, awesome. 86 minutes long. So I highly recommend anyone. It just wants a fun story. If you're into collecting, it kind of deals with a lot of that and the people that are involved. But it's also just a story about this guy who was
a man and his pet.
It's like VHS behind the music, right? He was on his way up and came down.
You just said VHS behind the music, which I think makes it even more crusty for us old folks. So anyway, good. That is the end of the Geek Easy. Todd, time to get out there to your Qantas app. We're going down to the land down under, the Thunderdome, and Tina awaits, where we're going to talk about the last of who? The Last of Us. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina! We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us. The Last of Us, just to give you a little background on it, this began as a video game on the PlayStation 3. I believe it was launched in 2013 from Naughty Dog. This was a new franchise for them. We then proceeded to get a sequel, I believe in 2019, Joe?
Oh, no. That's 2020, baby.
Is it 2020?
Wait
That's
a
right.
second. Wait,
That's
how
right.
can it be The Last of Us? Is this The Last of Us, the never-ending story?
Exactly.
The last
Well,
Last of Us?
As we talk about the Flim Flam, they added a part 1 to The Last of Us Part 1.
Boo!
Yeah, 2020, Last of Us Part 2 came out on the PlayStation 4.
That sucks.
And then they announced, I think in 2021, they were going to be making an adaptation of The Last of Us on HBO. The showrunner was going to be Craig Mazin, who is behind Chernobyl, and Neil Druckmann, who is one of the leads of Naughty Dog, was also going to be basically a producer / director on the show as well.
The lead Naughty Dog.
Exactly. So with that, Joe, you know what?
Yeah.
It's a very appropriate. If people are unfamiliar with The Last of Us, what is The Last of Us?
Break down for me, baby.
All right. What is The Last of Us? So let me tell you something. The Last of Us is a survival horror game or action game set in a post-apocalyptic United States where we have a smuggler by the name of Joel Miller who is sent out to smuggle a girl from one part of the United States to the other. For reasons you will find out in this show, but maybe she's just someone important's daughter. Who knows? And along the way, you're going to see a broken man become whole and a broken girl finding that parental figure. So, yeah, The Last of Us is a deeply personal story that is not solely unique just because it's a video game. You know, a lot of people like to give The Last of Us a lot of credit of like, there was never a good video game story until The Last of Us came out. And that wouldn't be true because you got games like BioShock that are absolutely phenomenal that came before it. But I think Last of Us is one of those stories that can transcend its medium rather well, better than its contemporaries in that space. So here we have The Last of Us show that is, produced and show ran by one of the best showrunners in the industry right now, Craig Mazin, who did the award-winning Chernobyl. And this is the first time in a long time we have one of the showrunners being the creator of the game, one of the creators of the game, and the vice president or co-president of Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann. So, yeah. Now you have something here in the video game industry or video game side of things. There's been some good video game adaptations of things. You have things like Detective Pikachu, things like Sonic, Arcane, which is incredible. But a lot of video game adaptations follow the universe and the lore of said universe rather than a direct story on the game itself, right?
Just trying to make
beat
it
for beat.
Too big, like, I'm trying to set up something for next season, or I'm going to make you love the sequel, or want for the sequel, or that kind of deal.
It's more like every time they've tried to give you a direct adaptation, it's flopped because the showrunners or the producers or script writers don't have faith in the source material. It's kind of the reason why, like, I feel like the Sony Spider-Man verse sort of sucks out. Yeah, the Spunko outside of its animation is it doesn't have faith in itself that it could deliver something special. Yeah. This is the first time where the showrunner has complete faith in its source material. It's like, I'm adapting this game because it's really great and more people need to know this story. So
yeah, I would say compare it to like the Halo series, which is the closest one we had to it. They actually said, we're going to make this like the silver universe take on it, which means that they're saying we don't even want to study the. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, Joe, I need that bleep button. So we should have a chat about that.
OXLR, patreon.com/Seeker Friends Unite, all that stuff. You get that bleep. That Halo show. Yeah, it's.
Oh, I you know what? In present company, reading the room, I will not contribute to talk about the Halo show. I will not.
It's an abomination. So yeah, hopefully the show doesn't show its whole ass, but it's
he said a swear.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay because kids are listening. Kids are listening, but I think that's a biological term.
Yeah, it's biological. Yeah, the buttocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's or a donkey, really. I mean,
donkey.
It's a donkey.
So it's the donkey show.
Yeah, Halo show no good.
Don't Google Halo show, young man.
No, kids at home, don't do it.
Yeah, we'll blind you. But I mean, so this really is the first video game TV series.
Yes,
I would say beyond Halo that does feel like it's got its full faith in what the product is. And when we saw the producers and everybody behind this, I'm like, and to your point, when you talked about in the Geekies, like Craig Mazin, he got it. And I think HBO, when something is on HBO, has credibility, which is a big deal for us who want people to see the same thing in the things we love that may have no care about the genre or things we love.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of some folks that I know have been watching this show that normally wouldn't. Like my parents are watching it. My mom is anxiety ridden about it already. My coworkers have been watching it. So it's like it's transcending that medium, and let's see if it keeps on keeping on.
It's it's what we talk about, Todd, about the quadrants, right?
Yeah.
This is touching multiple quadrants. And Todd, I'm sure you caught this, Joe, in a few episodes back. We're trying to kind of break down what that means. And Todd, didn't you figure out it was men under 25, men over 25?
Exactly.
It's under 25,
age and gender.
Binary gender.
Yeah, exactly. So men and women of certain ages, and who if they can get a show that hits all of those, you got like Top Gun.
Yeah, you got Top Gun. You got your $1 billion movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and my wife actually watched it. She has no interest really in video games. She supports me playing them, and she also doesn't really like dark things. I think we watched a little bit of The Walking Dead. Wasn't for her, the gore. That she's not a big into horror fan. So she did say after watching it, she enjoyed it, but she said this is really dark. I'm like, yes, it is. And you know what? It's not going to get lighter.
I was going to say it's
actually going to get a lot worse.
It's bound to get darker because Todd, you were telling me the and obviously the plot line of this is that it's this viral infection which makes people all inky jinky and their stuff coming out of their mouths, and they tend to mutate more as time goes by, and then they click. They're clicking. That's how you know they're round or whatever. And then their faces break open, and it's all the stuff you've seen in the various trailers. But like in the beginning of this, which was said, it's a window from it's 2003, and actually goes way back to the an old talk show from the 60s where you see it's the brother from The Mummy, which we just watched last night, so that's what made me think of him. Talking about viruses and how insidious they are, and talk about that ant virus, that a virus gets in there and takes an ant's body over, and he's a zombie and this thing and that thing, and then jumping forward to seeing. Obviously, when this goes down, and are we going full spoilers on this, guys? Are we?
Let's before you that, maybe we can kind of say at this point, folks, we're going to be talking about spoilers. So, and potentially as spoilers not only in the show but also in the game, so we can kind of talk about where this is going to go and where we think that, because we've only got one episode in. There's another one happening Sunday night, and
I will simply caution that since I'm not familiar with it, I would appreciate a lack of game spoilers for myself.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. So we'll do it with that, but spoilers for the TV series and maybe part of the game.
For the one episode that we've watched, that we've recorded. So at any rate, everyone
dies.
Everyone dies. That's how every show works. Well, The Walking Dead, all but 2 of the original cast died by the time the series was over. But or at least I should say everybody you saw in the first episode.
Never heard of it.
I'm sure not. But at any rate, yeah, we jumped to Austin, San Antonio, Austin. It was Texas anyway, in 2003, where you're meeting Joel as he's a contractor and he's raising his daughter on his own. Was the mother dead, or did she leave?
No,
or
she
don't
left.
we care?
No,
Okay.
not very explored. She's not an important character. She leaves them.
Understood.
And
he's
the father role. Yeah.
He's part and part. Joel is part and parcel with his brother. Is it Tommy? Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're obviously they work together and stuff, and it's the course of a day that's Joel's birthday, and his daughter wakes up and she takes she's making breakfast, blah blah, and he goes off and does his errands for the day, and she goes off to school. She comes home, and they have a next door neighbor that it's an older couple.
She's not feeling well.
Yeah, that grandma lives with them, and she's in a wheelchair, and she's not feeling so good. And what's the young girl's name?
Sarah.
So Sarah's over there and she's fiddling about, has her back turned, and you see grandma in the background out of focus start to twitch and stuff, and it's just like, oh, that's not good. And then Sarah comes, Joel gets home, they watch a movie together on his birthday, blah blah, and then Tommy calls in, dude, I'm in jail, you got to come bail me out or whatever, and Dad's like, oh God. So I'll be back, baby, just go to bed and I'll be back. And she wakes up like 2:00 in the morning, and there's noises going on and helicopters flying over.
I'm going to stop you right there, Charlie, because we got kind of caught up to the game. So the game starts
right there.
As you are Sarah. So there's two things you miss here, bud. All right, don't worry, I got
That's
you.
all right. All right, go on now.
It starts with Sarah on the couch. Door, opens. Joel enters, and it's his birthday.
Yep.
And so she got him a watch, and he goes, Where did you get this? She's like, I sell drugs, hardcore drugs.
Yeah, right.
Like,
what kind of drugs? What you got?
Well, that's great, but maybe it's not working. That scene is pretty 1-to-1 with the game, and then she wakes up, right? And something's, you're walking around the house, it's eerily silent.
Oh wait, I want to stop Joe right here.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So we're gonna have a stop it upon a stop,
I love it.
because that's all we got in the game. But in the show, we got a little bit more time with Sarah, which was kind of nice, because she got to go. You saw her take money, get the watch done. You get to see some more of her interactions with the family next door. So I think that was a nice touch, but it didn't take anything away.
It was a nice touch. It was a nice
pacing was tight. I liked it.
Moment of so Sarah's a main character, right?
Yes, that's what my wife said right there. My wife said, but I thought she was going to be her story in the Flim Flam.
Yeah. So, the one thing that they do a great job with.
She was gonna die.
Oh, Charlie.
The one thing that they do a really good job with is setting up that day. There is something off about it, and it starts increasing because when first off, when they're having breakfast, it's an awesome family dynamic. You get to see the dynamic more, which makes her loss way more impactful. When the grandma's not eating outside and the guy's trying to feed her, and you see how nice the neighbors are. The callback to the game I'll talk about.
You're right. Oh, this is not gonna go well. I thought instantly.
And then when she's at school, one of the kids are twitching. He's infected.
Oh God. Yeah.
And then she's at the watch store, and then you see the stores start closing down. That felt eerily familiar to what we've been through. Right. And even to speak to me living in the Tri-State area, seeing military vehicles go by as well during the pandemic was crazy. So
we didn't get that.
No.
Out here in the Midwest.
Were 1-to-1. Of what I was feeling. And when Sarah wakes up and things start going crazy, it services a really good one-off line, because when things start going crazy, Sarah looks out, she walks into her dad's room, he's not there. So the other thing the show does a really great job is, where was Joel in the game? Well, he was bailing out Tommy because someone in the bar went crazy and he defended them, and things are getting a little crazy over here, you need to bail me out. So now we know where he's been. And in the game, Sarah is looking at a news report on the TV, and it's just a reporter going, "It's mayhem down here, y'all. It's raining cats and dogs,
y'all."
And then the explosion on the TV screen, you see it through the window.
Right.
And that's when you know how nearby and the threat is there. And that's where things start going. The one line that is explored here is when Joel enters the house, he's in a panic. And he goes, Sarah's like, what's going on? He goes, it's the neighbors. I think they're sick. And that's when you see the infected neighbor hit the patio
Glass,
door.
yeah.
And
Right,
break
which they
through.
do with the poor dog, because the dog is like trying to get away.
And that's
she's
a
like, let me
callback
walk you back
to-
home, and the dog's all,
and that's a
he's
call
seen-
to Last of Us Part 2 as they use dogs to sniff out infected.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, for sake of not wanting to break down the entire episode.
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
really
no, that's
that was
passionate,
good.
Charlie.
No,
Yeah.
that was perfect. That was perfect. But anyway, yeah. So yes. Then we go on. They're trying to escape. Things go horribly awry.
Yeah.
And then
Hijinks ensue.
Hijinks ensue, and there's a point where Tommy and Joel and Sarah get separated from the vehicle. They're on the run, and they get stabbed by Private Ding Dong. Some military guys hold him up. Who over the radio, his CO just says, "Well, just grease him." You know what I mean? So he's taking shots, and both Tommy and Joel manage to survive, but Sarah takes a shot right to the gut, and she doesn't make it. So it's horrible. And then we jump forward to present time, 20.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah, 2023,
really
right? So yeah.
A really great scene there, because the tension's building the entire time, and when they're in the car, guys, that's pretty much 1-to-1 to the game.
Absolutely.
Every line of
Right.
dialogue in that car is 1-to-1 to the game.
And you're
Some of the locales, like the Jimmy's Ranch that's on fire, that's the ranch in the game.
That's awesome. No, that was for sure done. And again, now my wife has played some of the game. April's played some of the game, I've said, but I didn't watch her while she was doing it. But if what you're saying is that there's a lot of 1-to-1 ratio with that, just really illustrates how really well written this game clearly is, and how it stands the test of time 10 years later, right?
And how these planes are flying so low. And like at that part, when they saw like the two planes go by, I'm watching with my best friend. She knows some of what happened. She doesn't know the whole thing. She's just like,
Yeah.
She is, she's nervous. She can't stop talking. She's like, this is terrifying. This is
Right.
This
Big
is,
time.
and she's just like, why are they flying so low? And I go, because there's jets in the air.
Yep.
Like that's, and
Right.
that's a really great addition. And in the game, they get pinned by another car that just cuts them off. It's trying to do the same thing. Here, it's a piece of the plane debris that crashes, hits the car, and that's how she hurts her leg.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again after we're talking here. So it's just it was just so good.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing too, that in the game you are playing as Sarah in the beginning. You stop playing as Sarah though once they're getting out of the truck.
Because she's gonna
which is great because as Sarah in the back seat, I was looking around. Because you can just look around, so you can see what's going on. Where else is somebody coming from behind us? So we get to the point in the future, and we don't probably want to go really into the plot, but and I will say,
you know what I'll do? I'll go play the game. Maybe I'll talk about it next week.
That's very good because I will tell you, Charlie. I had a 2-hour trial on PlayStation 5. They just dumped it out there for the new updated PlayStation Part 1. It's 2 hours long.
We've got the disc, which is how April was playing.
Exactly. So I will say this because I looked at Last of Us takes about 15 hours to beat. Mm-hmm. This episode was an hour of TV time, but in the game, it was about an hour of the game.
This was a bit longer. This was closer to 90 minutes, I thought. Was
it? Okay.
It was. I know I had to.
Minutes,
I know I had to pause it at one point to use restroom or whatever, and it was still. It was over 60 minutes. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So I'm just curious if this will, and I don't know, has it been announced, Joe, that this will be like, is season 1 just all of the first game, part of the first game?
All of the first game.
Oh wow!
All of the first game and a little bit more in terms of like background of what's happening.
10 episodes, which means because 10 episodes will be the inevitable like, and here's a flashback of such and such or whatever, because that always happens in these shows.
Got it? Because I did the 2-hour trial, so like the first hour of that trial got me through the past part, and then the second hour got me well past where it only did a portion of that. So the second hour of the game I was in, I got a lot more of things, but it was kind of a good understanding of where they're going to pace this, how they're going to do it. And if this is highly successful, I don't know if 2 seasons is enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's the real catch-22 with something like this. Like, if it really takes off, is it going to turn into like Game of Thrones, where they're going off the map and the last couple seasons are trash? And
So the cool
That's what's
thing
kinda
that
scary.
both of them have said, it seems like they're first off, it seems like they're both on the same page of like, we have no interest in in doing anything other than adaptating these two games.
that's great. That's
So,
great.
Like,
If it
it's a
remains to be true.
it's gonna be a tops 3 season,
Okay.
show.
Currently, that's the big fear, that somebody else comes along and says, "Oh, this is worth a lot of money. We got blah blah blah. We're going to make you do this thing and that thing." And so, I hope not.
Well, and Naughty Dog is right now. They finished Last of Us Part 2 that came out in 2020, as we know. They are doing a multiplayer only game that is supposed to be scripted and have story. So I potentially could see them once again adapting more content for more seasons if it works
Todd,
out that way.
What do you have in your hand? You just put it down.
Donkey
Back up
Kong for
again.
McDonald's. Sorry.
That's
I get a little nervous when I talk in the podcast, so I just do that to keep my hands. Yeah. So there we go.
That's cool.
But yeah, because Joe makes me nervous. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I mean, Joe's
My energy.
Joe's quite a talent. I
Exactly.
agree. So
I
anyway,
don't know about that.
this is wild. I love this. I can't believe how excited I am. I definitely, really my afternoon was I have to watch the rest of those Buck Rogers episodes, Todd, for the show we're recording next
Oh
week.
yeah, I gotta do that too.
But I kind of feel like I want to play some of The Last of Us, so I think I might have to do that.
Well, and Charlie, you could do what you've done with like the Star Wars games. You like the Star Wars games. You like the story. You can always watch the cutscenes of The Last of Us because there is some good interactions during the action sequences, which is important. But the cutscenes are so well done. I don't know, Joe. Do you agree or disagree with somebody that doesn't want to play the game? Would it be cool if they just watched like a cutscene?
Yeah.
The cutscenes.
You can watch some of the cutscenes. I showed Amy one of the cutscenes. She has a huge thing for Pedro Pascal. And she's a real freak. So I showed her one of the scenes with Joel and in the game, and I go, just imagine this scene but Pedro Pascal. And all of a sudden she's watching it intently, and then she just starts breathing heavy. I'm like, Amy, relax.
Relax. It's just on TV. It's all right.
Settle down.
Yeah, I have loved.
I don't feel good.
I have loved the cutscenes from Battlefront 2. I've watched that a couple times, and I've loved the cutscenes from the Fallen Order, which Mark and I we talked through the game, and because I watched the cutscenes, him and the guest are like, "Oh, the gameplay, blah," and I'm like, "I watched the cutscenes, and I like this thing and that thing." So I still had something to contribute, thank God, on my own show.
And I don't know, is there like a difficulty mode, Joe? That's like basically story mode where you don't have to be good.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Not commenting on your skit.
How
your
do you know
gameplay.
that I'm not good? No, I mean, how could I be good? It's not like I'm, the pinball wizard. Like, like I'm.
Oh God,
magic,
Charlie,
magic.
you're not helping yourself here. With that.
This is my point.
Good reference of a 60s thing.
70s at least. Yeah.
My mom was 10. Everyone, my mom was 10 when that reference was created.
My God. All right.
Well, this was a good conversation. It was not all encompassing. We know that we could be here all day, but I think the good news is I think this show, and Charlie, I think you're the best person to say, did you say that this was just a good adaptation? Because you haven't even watched it, but do you feel like this is a good show?
I think the beauty of it is that I didn't have to know this had anything to do with the video game at all, because there weren't a lot of sci-fi elements to it at all, or anything fantastical. It was like, if this was your neighborhood and this was your daughter and this was your dad and your brother and whatever's running around, this could just happen. A day starts off weird. You hear on the radio, they're talking about, there's riots in Zimbabwe or blah, 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 whatever it is they said. And then you go to school and things just seem weird. And then you get home and things just like seem off. And there's tanks rolling through the street. It's like, this could be terrifyingly be the way. And then when you jump forward into the future, now we live in a totalitarian state. That's absolutely what could happen. That's the fear that things could tilt that direction with some of the things happening politically in this country. We all feel that way from time to time. So I felt that this was much, because again, the infected, what becomes the clickers, whatever it is, much smaller part of anything that was going on other than what we see in the second half, which is again, the 1984, the rebellious aspect. And then what's ultimately going to drive the narrative of the rest of this season, which is the mission. the mission. So yeah, I would say it's a fantastic adaptation. Whether the video game was a factor or not, it's not it wasn't a factor to me to want to watch it, because I'm like, wow, post-apocalyptic stuff, which April and I love. We love what we watch and love all the Walking Deads. I've always loved apocalypse movies. I love 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow and just all those corny Independence Day, all those corny, like, what's that dude's name who makes all those movies?
Emmerich.
Yes, Emmerich. Todd hates Independence Day. Don't get him started. I love it, though. We watched it every 4th of July. Every 4th of July.
That's right.
But yes, I love the, aliens or some other kind of whatever parasite thing. Like, I just watched the original V recently. Same thing. It's like, what will humanity do when we're facing, are we going to all pull together? Are we going to all turn on each other? And it's always going to be the second thing. It's what those movies and shows teach us, is that the very worst of us is going to come out and basically try to take every advantage. So I love that. I love watching it. So yeah, I would say it's a great show regardless.
There's an old saying, what is it? No one is dumb as all of us.
All of us.
Together the group think it's a little dumb. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I just played the 2 hours of the game just to get a feel for it again, because I haven't played it since 2013. So it's one of those people, and I'm just very happy with how this turned out. So very happy. And Joe?
Go silent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Charlie was about to say something. This is okay. So here's something about me. When I love something a lot, it becomes my personality. So, for example, the Obi-Wan finale, right? That whole 15-minute thing, I'm not going to spoil because you should
guys
watch
can
it,
hear me.
Is amazing, and I watched that a dozen times in a span of a week. I've watched this episode already 4 times. I've just devoured anything that is of substance when it comes to the show, like breakdowns, all of it. Love it. This so far so very good, and to hear that it only gets better has me really excited to see the changes that they've made. So far this first episode is some good adaptation of the game. I don't want to say best yet because we don't know how this guy this show ends. So far, so very good. I'm in.
Think we can say is we're excited for more episodes. We'll see.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah.
At the end of the season, we'll probably do a wrap up and go from there, and we'll see if Charlie has experienced more of the game, or at least watched some more of the game, to do a compare and contrast.
Yes, indeedly, doodly. Well, cool. Well, friends, thank you as always for joining us. Joe, we will do another whatever the heck it was, like 50 episodes or something. Okay, I don't want you to have a stroke now, but yeah, no, you're awesome. And I can't believe we've not had you on a holocron yet, or have we? And I just don't remember. If I don't remember,
no, not yet.
Okay, let me have a word with
first episode of The Mandalorian. Let's do it.
Oh
wait, I thought Mark banned Joe.
Oh yeah, that's the part I was going to add. Is
all your Nintendo hate hurt Mark's to his core.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you guys didn't get along because of your whatever. It'd be like, people who can't deal with the different types of Star Trek.
Well,
but anyway,
Nintendo
we'll look at
starts publishing good games again, we'll talk.
Well,
no,
you know what?
Mark would love to have Joe on.
I can't help you with that. But at any rate, Joe, where do people find you out there?
You can find me over at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can find my show at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, each and every Thursday with me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. Over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. The video version over on youtube.com/PS Trophy Room or at PS Trophy Room. They're putting tags like that now on it.
Oh
YouTube.
My
Can
goodness.
you believe it?
Taggity tag.
Yeah. So you can find me all there, man. Thank you guys for having me. Because anytime I get to talk about The Last of Us is a good time.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Todd,
Joe,
where are you at out there?
I was going to say, Joe, congrats on another great awards show. It was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you guys do great work.
Thank you. Yes, we and it broke some records too. Over 6,400 people tuned into the Trophy Room Awards, which was the longest episode we've ever done by a country mile. Over 4 hours, over 30 plus categories, over 10 guests, all talking about the games that made 2022.
Wow.
And then this week, we talked a whole lot about The Last of Us show and all rumors and speculations of great things coming to PlayStation 2023 and beyond. So thank you.
Yes,
Nice.
the best PlayStation show there, folks. Check it out. Subscribe and watch.
heard it.
Nice. All right, Todd, what about you, little buddy? Rap to us.
I'm on Twitter at Toxtra, also on Hive at Todd of War, which Hive might just be a thing I made up. Who knows?
Who knows how
Why
this
not?
goes.
It's only one way to find out.
We'll see. The people are doing mastodons and all these different things, but we don't know. But you know what? Follow me there. Just having good times and good fun. And trying to share the gospel along with at Secret Friends U on Twitter as well about all the things we do. We have our Patreon, folks. Just go there, check it out, just see if it's of value for you. We are also going to drop some of the special shows for free in the future, just to get people see what they, if they enjoy the stuff, if it's worth subscribing. So we'd love to do that. And then for all things Secret Friends, at secretfriendsunite.com is our home where everything is there.
The hub. Yes, absolutely. Well, you can find me over on Twitter at the C3. Just go ahead and spell it out. I'm on other socials on that, kind of, sort of. But I also spend a lot of time in our fantastic Discord chat. That's where the cool conversations are happening. My wife, April, and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. That is the West Michigan-based chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club, one of the biggest in the world. If you live in Michigan and want to learn more about it, visit us at a website of that same name and at socials with the same tag. We would love to have you on board. And with that, one more time, friends, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Joe. I'm going to say, as always, that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
The Last of Us or the last and worst of us?
Second one.
Who knows? Who knows?
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.